Believe it or not, this is England, the Isles of Scilly specifically. Now, when you think of the UK/England, what do you think of? Maybe the busy streets of London, overcast grey clouds over historic towns, or perhaps rolling green hills like this. I'm gonna assume that practically nobody pictured this. So the Isles of Scilly are an archipelago off the southwest coast of England. The beaches here are made up of white sand and the waters are crystal clear, and you'll also see palm trees in places. It honestly looks more like something you'd see in the Mediterranean or perhaps somewhere even more exotic. There are around 140 islands within this archipelago, of which only 5 are actually inhabited, with the most populated being St Mary's, which is home to some 1,800 people. Next up is this snow-capped mountain range. I will literally give you £1 million if you're able to guess which country this is found in. It's a country in Southeast Asia, a place you don't really associate with snowy mountain tops. It is in fact Myanmar. So at a very impressive 5,881 meters, this is Mount Hakakabo Razi, the highest point in the country. The peak is found in the very north of the country, not far from its border with China. This mountain is found in what is known as the Greater Himalayan Mountain System. 5,881 meters also makes it the highest point in Southeast Asia. Now, I'm not sure about you, but when I think of Myanmar, I think of jungle, hot weather, and river systems. Not necessarily tall, snowy mountains. Now, if I was to show you this image, I guarantee you can't guess where it is. It's just a very generic looking hill with some grass and shrubs. It looks like somewhere from a temperate climate region, maybe somewhere in Europe. This next image shows that it is most certainly not in Europe. Yes, those are camels walking through grass. The image is actually from a region that is covered primarily in desert. It is in fact the Dhofar Mountains, which stretch from Oman to Yemen. There is also a nature reserve within this region, specifically Oman, named Wadi Darbat. It is home to this incredible waterfall system where you'll see camels drinking from the water. Not exactly the first thing you'd imagine when you think of Oman. Now, when you think of Pakistan in terms of natural geography, what pops into your head? For me, it's got to be arid desert landscapes and mountain ranges. According to the Köppen climate classification, most of the country is arid hot desert. Yet its capital city looks like this, very green. I remember the first time I saw a picture of Islamabad, I was actually very surprised. I was not expecting to see so much greenery and trees. However, don't let the greenery fool you into thinking that this city sees livable and pleasant temperatures. During the summer, the city sees some extremely high temperatures. When you search Google Images for the geography of Brazil, you'll mainly see the Amazon rainforest. This comes to no surprise as it covers around 60% of the entire country. Now, this is kind of nuts considering the country is the 5th largest on Earth at around 8.5 million kilometers squared. However, check this out. This is a national park found in the northeast of the country. It is an absolute spectacle to say the least. The national park includes 70 kilometers of coastline with an interior filled with rolling sand dunes. During the rainy season, the dunes fill with freshwater lagoons which don't actually drain due to the impenetrable rock beneath, which then, lucky for us, provides this incredible view. The region is sometimes known as the Flooded Desert. The reason why Greenland is called Greenland is because a murderer was once exiled there. He then named the island Greenland in hope of attracting other settlers. It turns out that Greenland isn't very green but more white due to the snow and ice that covers most of it. However, there are some green places that can be found here, such as the Kingawa Valley, which is where you'll find Greenland's only forested area. The forest only runs for around 15 kilometers and is found in the very south of the island. It is thought that more forests once existed in Greenland, but early settlers cleared them to create wood for fire or for building materials. Although nearly all of ice-free Greenland has an Arctic tundra climate, some sources suggest that this valley may have a sub-Arctic climate, hence the reason why some plant life actually exists here. Any ideas where this could be? The rolling green hills look like something from maybe Peru, the Azores in Portugal, or maybe even somewhere in Central Europe, right? Well, this is actually Saudi Arabia, believe it or not. This is the Asir mountain range, which can be found in the southwest of the country, not too far from Jeddah and the Red Sea. The absolute vast majority of this country is classed as hot desert. It sees very little rainfall and experiences extreme temperatures. Yet this region, as it's so high up, does see cooler temperatures and rainfall throughout the year, creating a very green and pleasant region. The Asir Mountains cover an area of some 100,000 kilometers squared, about the same size as South Korea. Now, when you think of Uganda, you likely think of dense forests and mountain gorillas. Well, that's what pops into my head anyway. But can you believe that this image was in fact taken in Uganda, an equatorial country found in the middle of Africa? This is in fact Margarita Peak, found on Mount Stanley, the highest point in the country. The peak is some 5,109 meters above sea level, hence why there is so much snow. This actually makes the mountain the third tallest on the continent. It is around 700 meters shorter than Mount Kilimanjaro. When I think of Japan, the first thing that pops into my head are its bustling megacities like Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. Absolute concrete jungles. I then also think of the more natural side of Japan, with views like this: green rolling hills, cherry blossoms with rivers, and Japanese traditional architecture. I don't necessarily think of tropical paradise landscapes like this, but this is in fact Okinawa in Japan, which can be found some 650 kilometers south of the mainland. Okinawa offers some of the most pristine beaches and crystal clear waters on Earth. When you look at videos like this, you'd probably think you were looking at maybe Thailand or somewhere in the Caribbean, but this is in fact Japan. It's kind of crazy that both of these images are from the same country. The image on the left being Okinawa, and on the right the snowy mountains which can be found further north. Now, can you guess where this is? If your geography is decent, you might be thinking that it is Rainbow Mountain in Peru. Well, although it looks very similar, this is actually a place found on a completely different continent, some 14,000 kilometers away. This is in fact Hormuz Island in Iran. It's a small island found in the Persian Gulf, north of the UAE. The island is home to red beaches, black sand, and these rainbow-coloured mountains and hills. This is why the island is sometimes known as Rainbow Island. The high levels of iron oxide has resulted in the soil turning red, which in turn runs off into the water, turning it pink. The 42 km squared island is dense in around 70 different minerals, which gives the island its distinctive rainbow colours. By average elevation, Nepal is the second highest country on Earth, at some 3,265 meters. This is due to the country being found within the Himalayan mountain range. The country therefore has some of the most spectacular landscapes on the planet, with views like this. So when you think of Nepal, this is likely what you imagine, right? Well, Nepal is also home to terrain like this, as what can be found in the Chitwan National Park. The park only covers an area of just less than 1,000 kilometers squared, but it is home to dense forest and grassy plains where you'll find incredible animals such as elephants, rhinos, and tigers. The park is found here in the south of the country, near its border with India, which makes sense as the south of the country is much flatter than in the north, where you'll find the likes of Mount Everest. Other than Pablo Escobar and the illegal products he used to sell, when you think of Colombia, what pops into your head? It's got jungle, tropical beaches, and mountain ranges. But did you know that the country actually has a 330 km squared desert? The desert is named Tatacoa and is found in the central west-ish part of the country. It looks like this. It honestly looks like something you'd see in the Grand Canyon in the US or even Mars. The region is actually what is known as a tropical dry forest rather than a barren desert. And as you'd expect, it is home to all kinds of creepy crawlies, such as scorpions, spiders, and rattlesnakes, which is actually where the region got its name from. Tatacoa means an angry person or a hot-tempered person, which in this case is a rattlesnake. Although you may know Vietnam for being a very hot and humid country with landscapes like this, the country also gets very cold and sees snowy regions. So this is Sapa, a place where yours truly has actually been to. Now, when I went, I didn't actually see any snow. However, it was cold enough for the hotel that I was staying in to have a roaring fire. So Sapa is found in the very north of the country, not far from its border with China. The region sits at around 1,600 meters above sea level, which means it does see snow in the winter. Vietnam being such a long country means it sees many different climates and terrains, ranging from tropical paradise in its far south, rolling green rice paddies throughout the country, and then snowy mountains in the north. So there we have it, some places that break traditional country geographic stereotypes. If you can think of any others, let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see part 2. And thank you so much for watching.